Okay, so all right, here we go. Get this thing going. I'm not sure what the frame rate's going to look like or if my internet can handle streaming very well, but I'll give it a shot. If you're busy too, feel free to leave it alone. We're just going to get our Twin Otter started up here, get our strobe lights, anti-collision and position lights on. We'll check we got gauges in the green. Which we do. We got our flight plan entered there, so we're going to go ahead with our forward boost pump and start our right ignition. So we're watching our oil pressure and our NG come above 14% before we introduce our fuel. Let's see here. All right, that's not kicking on, so what we got here? Low pressure, fuel's on. Forward boost pump, norm. All right, we got oil pressure and number 2 engine NG. The sound is acting up weird. Interesting. Never actually had it give me issues on startup, so this is new. Generators are off. We got voltage in our batteries. Go forward boost pump on. Oil pressure and NG to the rise. We're gonna start our left engine, see what that does, because we're having some failures here. All right, looks like we're gonna have to reset this. Generator's off. All the other lights are off. I'm going to go prop full forward. DC and master battery on. You can hear the boost pump come on. Give it a crank to the right. NG above 14. There she goes. All right, that's music to the ears right there. We're just watching for things to stabilize. Then we're going to go ahead and throw our aft boost on and start to crank to the left. Watching for oil pressure rising. NG coming up over 14% before we introduce the fuel. Alright, there we go. Good start. Come back over to our cockpit here. Double check we have our everything in the proper position. About 10 degrees of flaps for takeoff. And switch the rest of our lights on, including taxi light. Alright, so it's going to be a pretty quick 15-minute flight today. We're going to go ahead and hop over the mountains over to the west there. Make our way over to Chimbu. So we parked over at the Port Moresby hangar today, but Port Moresby, the Air Niugini hangar, but normally MAF parks over on the far side of the airfield there. So we've got a max loaded airplane today, which is going to be good. Pop our generators on. And we'll probably need 8,000 feet to get over those mountains. Alright. So final takeoff checks. Turn our rudder a little bit to the right. Landing lights on. Taxi lights off. Generators are on. Lights are all good. Gauges are all in the green. Boost pumps are on. Gonna turn our GPWS inhibitor on and our auto feather switch on. Alright. Set max torque and get this show on the road. Alright. Gauge is in the green. Torque is set. Airspeed's coming alive. 75 knots to rotate. Alright, now we'll pitch for 85. Twin Otter takes off like a rocket ship. But you do have to watch your ITT as you take off. It starts jumping into the red pretty quickly. You see it's bouncing over there. We're just going to keep our climb out going. Pull our prop back to 85% RPM. And we'll raise our flaps. And here we are in the Goroka Valley. So we're going to climb out at 100 knots because that'll give us our best rated climb. I'll keep this climb going and see if we can jump up over the gap here. Over on our GPS we can turn it into the terrain page and then zoom out a little bit. That'll give you a perfect little idea of where the valleys and ridges are. So you can see we could have come a little bit further down the valley and followed this little valley all the way up to Chimbu, but it's going to be quicker for us because we have a ridiculous climb rate just to hop over the mountains. So you can see on the terrain mode over here that it gives you a relative terrain indication. So if it's black, you're good. I believe green is anything between 500 and 1,000 feet. And then there's not much yellow on this page, so I think it jumps straight to red. Obviously red, you're dead. Alright, looks like 8,500 is going to clear us here, so we're going to trim down and speed up. We'll pop our autopilot up to 8,500 here. So as we speed up, we're going to pull back our prop to 75% RPM and our torque back to 40 PSI. Get a little jump there with our autopilot. I'm going to go ahead and keep my GPWS inhibit on for this flight just because we're so close to the mountains all the way in. So it's quite a beautiful area. Right to the kind of 11:30 there we have Mount Elambadi. So on the backside you can see some cliffs and caves and everything. There we're going to be hopping right next to it and heading up the valley towards Chimbu. We're gonna throw our heading select button on just to make sure we're staying away from that mountain. It's a little cheat for keeping your way straight. Yeah, what a beautiful area. I gotta see if I can pull this chat screen up here. Yeah, so to move my view, I've got the little, my fancy thumb switch on my joystick. And I'm just trying to figure out how I can see the chat in game as well. Do you know how to do that, Mr. Ernie? Do I have to add a window here? Because if I minimize OBS, then it minimizes the chat as well. Alright, we're going to head off to the right to Chimbu and check out our circuit altitude. So Chimbu's at 4,969 feet. We'll call it 5,000 flat. And 6,000 is going to be our circuit altitude. So I'm going to come down to here, click my altitude hold switch off, and then put in a vertical speed of 500 feet per minute. And when you do that, obviously you're going to speed up when your nose towards the ground, so the Twin Otter can actually overspeed fairly easily if you put more than 500 feet per minute descent rate in. So what I'm going to do is pull my torque back, and I'm also going to switch on my transponder here and just contact Moresby for a up-to-date QNH for the area. It's a pressure. Yeah, yeah.
Squawk 2352 de Havilland, November Tango Zulu. De Havilland, November Tango Zulu, radar contact 9 miles southeast of Alpha Yankee Charlie Hotel, 8,100 feet. Altimeter 30.07.
3007 for
Roger, de Havilland, November Tango Zulu.
Alright, so you can see the runway from here. It's kind of tucked on this little ridge. We're going to do a left-hand pattern, fly in over that little ridge, and then come into land. You getting your work done, Ernie? I bet I'm not distracting you at all, eh? Check out this hot chocolate my wife made me. So this area, you can kind of see the white cloud shading over the areas where the satellite footage had clouds on it when they took it. I think I read that the satellite footage was from 2012 or something like that, and they never had a clear picture, so that's why a lot of New Guinea you can see like really jerky pixelized lines on it where it should be sharp. But that mountain over there off to our right, there's a little airstrip tucked in just the side of the mountain, and that is Mount Wilhelm actually, which is the highest point in New Guinea. the only one that sees snow. I think it's 13,400 some feet. So that's pretty cool. So now we're getting pretty close. I'm gonna pull my power all the way and punch my prop forward. So in the Twin Otter, it's pretty cool because when you, I'll just show you the throttle quadrant for a second here without falling out of the sky, but it's a smooth transition right into beta and reverse. And the overhead throttles is interesting in itself, but all right, we're gonna punch in some flaps here so we don't stall out. Yeah, so what happens is when you pull it past, you can see my torque right here. So I'm at pretty much 0 on the torque, and I've still got about 30% of my throttle left. And what that is it goes into beta, which is like instead of going into reverse pitch, it's just a flat pitch, and basically turns your two engines into two discs that are just pushing through the air, so it slows you down real quick. So that's a trick from an old Twin Otter pilot that I have. But I haven't adjusted the throttles that much in this airplane, and the throttle settings are super delicate, so if I punch it just like an eighth of an inch, it goes up almost to like 10 psi on the torque, so it's quite a bit. So here we are, Chimbu airstrip, nice and paved. I'm not sure if they bring Dash 8s into this airstrip or not, but they can accommodate large aircraft. Alright, so I'm looking left. Gonna do our downwind leg. And as we're in the circuit here, close to the ground, I'm gonna punch in my auto feather. So what that does is, if you have an engine rollback, while you're close to the ground like this, it'll actually auto feather the prop for you, which is nice. Gives you a little less to do when you're busy with an engine failure close to the ground. I got my second notch of flaps in. The flaps in this plane too, it says 40 degrees and it looks like it's almost straight down. We're just watching our altitude here, and we're going to come a little bit past this ridge, give us a nice long final. Punching in my third notch of flaps there, and we're just going to do pretty much a turn onto final. Continue descending. All right, there we are. Full flaps, checklist complete. So I should have gone a little bit further on my overhead leg. This runway is one of the auto-generated ones, so the spot landing stripes are actually in the wrong end of the airstrip, because you'd be landing downhill if you came in the other way. So we're just watching our airspeed. Little downdraft there. Alright, full power and just keep the airplane off the runway. Greaser. There we go with our reverse thrust. Don't even have to use braking at all. Alright, on the rollout, pushing my flaps back up to the top. And I'll turn these off. Here we are. Welcome to Chimbu. In the foothills of Mount Wilhelm. All right, so we're gonna shut her down. I'll pop our landing lights off rather. Should have taken those off when we came off the runway. Pop these guys off. Turn off our generators, left and right. Feather our props, which is our middle levers, and pull them all the way back. And then go fuel cutoff. You can instantly hear them start to roll back. We're going to turn on off our transponder. Turn off our boost pumps. And finally, turn off our DC and DC master and batteries. And let's disembark.
Transport from dispatch. Okay, nice job. Someone is coming to take the cargo. I'll call you when it's done.
And there we are. A beautiful little town here. So if you look up this valley right here, if you follow all the way up there for about 5 minutes, you get to AYGA, which is one of the quite frequently visited airstrips by Ryan Ferran and his Kodiak. And that's probably one of two of the hardest strips to land at in Papua New Guinea. The other one being Asiana. So
Everything is on board.
I got a pretty good look into an Otter here today. The Air Seychelles livery on it. Still waiting on somebody to make an old MAF skin for it. But for now, that's what we got. Anyways, thanks for watching. You're welcome, Ernie. Thanks for watching.